Welcome, my friend.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'll be doing a what-if scenario, and that is, what if Starkiller killed Emperor Palpatine? If you enjoy videos like these, please drop a like, and if you're new, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss future content. In the heart of the Death Star, Starkiller stood over the defeated Emperor Palpatine. The battle had been fierce, but Starkiller's determination and strength had prevailed. As Palpatine lies on the ground, weakened and vulnerable, he looked up at Starkiller with a twisted grin. At that moment, Starkiller felt a profound clarity. This wasn't about revenge. It was about ending the tyranny that had plagued the galaxy for so long. With a deep breath, Starkiller raised his lightsaber. He promised himself he would not be damned to the dark side again. In a swift motion, he brought the blade down, striking Palpatine and ending the Emperor's reign. As the lifeless body of Palpatine crumbled to the floor, Starkiller deactivated his lightsaber. The room was eerie silent, the echoes of the battle fading away. Starkiller turned to Master Coda and the senators. Without a word, they understood the gravity of what had just occurred. The rogue shadow awaited them, its engines ready for a swift departure. As they boarded the ship, Starkiller took one last look at the imposing structure of the Death Star. They had achieved a great victory, but the war was far from over. The rogue shadow jettisoned off into hyperspace, leaving the Death Star and the remnants of the battle behind. Back on the Death Star, Darth Vader slowly regained consciousness. As he rose to his feet, he saw Palpatine's lifeless body lying on the floor. For a moment, Vader was stunned. The man who had controlled his fate for so long was finally dead. He approached the body, marveling at the sight. He was free, no longer shackled to Palpatine's bidding. A new sense of purpose filled Vader. He would not let this opportunity slip away. With Palpatine gone, he would seize control and become the new Emperor of the galaxy. His reign would bring order, and he would crush any who opposed him. On Kashyyyk, the rebels gathered to discuss their next move. Starkiller, Master Coda, and the other senators knew that the death of Palpatine was only the beginning. Darth Vader had assumed control, and the Death Star remained a looming threat. As they strategized, Starkiller noticed Juno Eclipse stepping out for some air. She stood at the edge of the clearing, looking up at the starry night sky. Starkiller approached her, sensing the weight of the current events on her shoulders.
It's going to be okay. We're alive. And our mission is to continue rallying others. We can do this.
With you leading this rebellion, I have no doubt. We will win this war. Together.
She would walk back in to join the others, leaving Starkiller alone with his thoughts. He gazed up at the stars, feeling a profound sense of peace. For the first time in a long time, he felt truly alive. He had faced his demons and emerged victorious. The following days on Kashyyyk were filled with planning and preparation. The rebels worked tirelessly, reaching out to potential allies and gathering intelligence on the Empire's movements. Starkiller took on a leadership role, his experience and strength inspiring those around him. He spent hours in discussions with Master Coda, devising strategies to take down Vader and the Death Star. They knew that a direct assault would be suicidal, but a well-coordinated attack with the right resources could turn the tide in their favor. Starkiller also made it a point to train with the rebel fighters, sharing his skills and knowledge. He understood that they needed to be at their best if they were able to face the might of the Empire. Each day, the bond among the rebels grew stronger, their resolve unwavering. One of the key challenges was finding enough pilots and ships to take on the Empire. Starkiller and Juno led several missions to recruit skilled fighters from various systems. They sought out smugglers, former Imperial pilots, and anyone willing to fight for the cause. These missions were fraught with danger, but they managed to gather a formidable group of allies. Starkiller's reputation as a powerful warrior preceded him, and many were inspired to join the rebellion after hearing his story. Among the new recruits were some of the galaxy's best pilots, including a few who had flown against the Empire before. With each new ally, the rebels' chances of success increased. As the rebellion grew, the plans for the assault on the Death Star began to take shape. Starkiller and Coda would work closely with the newly recruited pilots to develop a strategy that would exploit the weaknesses in the Empire's defenses. They decided on a multi-pronged attack that would involve both ground and space operations. The ground team, led by Starkiller and Coda, would infiltrate the Death Star to disable its shields and critical mechanical systems. Meanwhile, the pilots would engage the Imperial fleet and deliver the final blow to the station. The plan was risky, but it was their best chance at victory. The rebels knew that failure was not an option. The night before the battle, the rebels gathered for one final briefing. Starkiller addressed the group, his voice steady and confident. He reminded them of the stakes and the importance of their mission.
This is our moment. We fought hard to get here, and now it's time to finish what we started. Remember why we're doing this. For the freedom of the galaxy, and for all those who can't fight for themselves.
The rebels listened intently, their faces reflecting a mix of determination and resolve. They knew the risks, but they were ready to face them head-on. Later, Starkiller found a quiet spot to reflect. He thought about the journey that had led him here, the battles fought, and the friends lost. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for the people around him and the chance to make a difference. Juno joined him, and together they looked up at the stars. As dawn broke over Kashyyyk, the rebels prepared for battle. The ground team geared up for the infiltration, while the pilots readied their ships. The atmosphere was tense, but charged with anticipation. The rebel fleet, led by the Rogue Shadow, emerged from hyperspace, near the Death Star. Alarms blared across the Imperial station as the Empire scrambled to respond to the unexpected assault. Starkiller and his team moved swiftly, using the element of surprise to their advantage. The ground team made their way inside the Death Star, encountering fierce resistance from Imperial troops. Starkiller fought with unmatched ferocity, his lightsabers cutting through enemies with precision. General Coda and the others provided cover, ensuring they reached their targets. Meanwhile, in space, the rebel pilots engaged the Imperial fleet. The battle was intense, with ships maneuvering through a deadly barrage of laser fire. Captain Juno Eclipse led the charge, her piloting skills pushing the limits as she evaded enemy fighters and targeted key Imperial vessels. Inside the Death Star, Starkiller and his team reached the main reactor. They planted explosives and began the countdown, knowing they only had minutes to escape. The station shook with explosions as the reactor destabilized. As they raced back to their ship, Starkiller sensed a familiar presence. Darth Vader. The Sith Lord confronted them, his red lightsaber igniting in the dimly lit corridor.
Your journey ends here, now.
Starkiller stepped forward, his lightsabers blazing to life. The duel was fierce and relentless, both warriors pushing their limits. Starkiller fought with everything he had, channeling the Force and his training. He knew this was the final confrontation, and he could not afford to fail. With a final powerful strike, Starkiller disarmed Vader, sending the Sith Lord's lightsaber clattering to the floor. Vader, wounded and defeated, faced Starkiller with a mixture of hatred and resignation. Vader's eyes burned with rage, but he knew he was beaten. Starkiller turned away, joining his team as they made their way to the Rogue Shadow. The Rogue Shadow blasted out of the Death Star, narrowly avoiding the massive explosion that followed. The Death Star was destroyed, and with it, the Empire's greatest weapon. As the rebel fleet regrouped, cheers erupted across the comm channels. They had achieved the impossible, defeated the Empire's strongest force, and struck a decisive blow for freedom. Back on Kashyyyk, the rebels celebrated their victory. Starkiller and Juno stood together, watching as the others rejoiced. They had done it. The galaxy was free from the grip of tyranny. Starkiller felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had kept his promise to himself, fighting for a just cause and resisting the darkness that once consumed him. The future was uncertain, but he knew they had the strength and unity to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As they looked out at the stars, Starkiller felt at peace. The battle was over, but the fight for freedom would continue, and he was ready for whatever came next. And that's the end of the story, my friends. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please drop a like and comment below your thoughts. If you're new, please subscribe to the channel for more videos like this to come. If you have a moment, please check out my second channel, Pulley Productions, where I produce independent short films. Thank you again for watching, everyone. Have a great day or night, and may the Force be with you.